English students, this is Miss Alsamani, and I want us to talk about the research paper. This is going to be the first essay we focus on for the semester. I wanted us to focus on the first paper being the research paper because, to be honest, it's the most challenging paper, so that way we can go ahead and knock it out early. I know a lot of students have already written research papers for English 101 or for high school. I want us to do a quick refresher on MLA formatting, in-text citations, works cited page, and all of that. So I recommend having your little Seagull book, the one that was used in English 101 close by, and a copy of this topic sheet that's in the week 1 folder. So for this research paper, I would like you to utilize outside sources. That could be articles, books, documentaries, etc., to learn about an influential person and how he or she has influenced today's society, whether for the better or for the worse. So this topic is a pretty open topic, but make sure you choose someone that you're very interested in getting to know more about, whether that's someone that influenced society positively or negatively, maybe someone that you learned a little bit about in history and you want to know more about, or an influential person in pop culture or anything. And honestly, you'll propose your topic in the discussion board under research paper topic proposal, and I'm going to give you feedback on your topic in your outline. You'll just do a short little outline. There's an example in discussion board, but I'm going to give you some feedback so that I know that you're in the right direction. While you may choose the person, please ask my permission for your topic before beginning your research. I don't want you to get too far into research and then I find out that the topic is inappropriate for this assignment. So just make sure you propose your topic. It's due by Wednesday at midnight in discussion board, and I'm going to give you each feedback on your topic. Also, you may not repeat a topic that you've written about in the past, so that would be during English 101 or your high school classes. I don't want you to reuse your research papers because really you should start from scratch based off this assignment. And then also the research paper is going to be scanned using anti-plagiarism software. So say if your paper was scanned back in English 101 or high school, it's going to come up that you plagiarized. And so just make sure you write everything from scratch for this research paper assignment. The rough draft is due on Monday, September 9th by midnight. It'll be turned into the discussion board. So for your rough drafts, I always have you turn in a rough draft so that you can get peer review. So essentially, you guys are going to read each other's research papers, give each other feedback, and there's going to be some more instructions later on, but just to give you a heads up that you will turn your rough drafts into discussion board. Your final drafts are due Sunday, September 13th by midnight, and you'll turn that into the Content Week 4 folder. I'll have us submit your research paper final draft here, a little link, and you can click into it and upload it. All of your research papers are turned in electronically in the content area Blackboard so that they are scanned with that anti-plagiarism software. Notice the points. You can have 100 points possible, and it's 40% of your final grade, so it's a huge chunk of your average. The research paper should be at least 1,500 words in length, so that's a minimum. If you go over, that's fine as well. Some students ask if they're punished if you go up to 2,000 or however many words you go over. I'm fine with you guys going over in your research papers. Some of you get really invested in these topics, and so I certainly will not dock you points for going over the word count. I just want to make sure that you don't go underneath 1,500 words. For formatting, it's going to be MLA formatting. MLA is just the Modern Language Association formatting, which is used for all English classes. So essentially it's 12-point Times New Roman font, double space with MLA heading and style. So I want us to look now at your Seagull textbook. It's on page 161. That's where we're going to look. Page 161 of the Seagull textbook. Notice how this is formatted. It is double spaced. Each paragraph is indented. Your name goes at the top with the heading, then my name, then the course, and then the date. Also notice there is a page number in the upper right hand corner with your last name next to the page number. If you have any questions about formatting, I'm happy to walk you through how to find like spacing things in your Word document. I do recommend typing these in Word and not Notepad because Notepad sometimes has some weird formatting stuff going on. So definitely type in the Word document. So Page 161 is going to be particularly helpful. So once you've got it MLA formatted, you will have to have a works cited page. So essentially the works cited page is that page at the very end of your research paper that gives all of the outside sources you've used credit. You're essentially giving those authors credit for their ideas that you didn't come up with. So it's particularly important that you have to have a works cited page. So in your textbook, we'll move past 161. It's on page 168 is a really good example of a works cited page. Notice the title works cited is at the top and centered. Also notice all of the citations are in alphabetical order based off the author's last name. So there's a chance that you don't have an author, so then you would just list it title first. Essentially, you try to get as much information as possible for these outside sources. But page 168 is going to be the best one to use for formatting purposes. So I'm going to point out some of the most common outside sources that students use, so that way you can know where to find those examples in your textbook. So, for a basic book, essentially you find a book on the shelf about the person that you want to research. It's going to be page 144, example 17. Notice you'll start off with the author's last name, comma first name, then the title of the book, then the publisher of the book, and then the year it was published. And you can usually find the year it's published. It's towards the beginning of the book on the copyright page. So that's the best page to check out for a physical book. A lot of you guys like to use websites. So for websites, the best spot to look in your textbook is going to be page 151, number 31. That's the best example. Notice you'd have your author's last name and first name if there is an author listed. If there's no author, some of these websites do not list authors. You would start off with the title of the article, and that's usually at the top of the web page. Then the title of the website, the publisher of the website, that's usually at the very bottom of the website page. The date that it came out, the URL is just the link, so you can copy and paste the link. And the day you access it is just the day you went to the website. So that way if there are any updates, I'll be able to know what version you found. So page 151 is a particularly helpful page. So I want us to look at in-text citations next, and that's going to be on page 123 of the textbook. Essentially an in-text citation is just the parentheses that go at the end of a quote or a sentence with information that you did not know before you read the source. So essentially, if you didn't know the information before you read the outside source, you'll need the in-text citation. So those can be done two different ways. You can do a signal phrase, like in example 1, McCullough describes John Adams' hands as those of someone used to manual labor. McCullough is the author, that's the signal phrase, and then 18 is the page number. So this would be particularly helpful if you're taking information from a book, because those do have page numbers. For a website, you won't have to list the page number because obviously websites don't have page numbers, but you'll still want to give credit to the author, and so you'll want to have the author's name either in a signal phrase at the beginning of the sentence or like example 2 has at the end of a quote with the parentheses around it. Also notice that the parentheses end before the period of the sentence. So some of you guys have asked me in the past, like students ask all the time, where the period goes at the end of a in-text citation. It's always after the last parentheses. If you do not know the author, which is very likely on some of these websites, page 125 at the top, author unknown, notice you'll just do the title of the website in quotation marks. So for this example, the website would be titled Every Patient's Nightmare, the article would be. So page 125 is very helpful for in-text citations where you don't know the author. So I know this is a lot of information. There's a ton of examples in your Siegel textbook on how to do in-text citations and the works cited entries. So if you ever need any help citing a source, I'm very happy to help. Essentially just send me an email. You can even send me the website link that you're trying to cite, and I'll help you cite it. I'll help you find information on there. Essentially, I know that research paper citations are not the most fun activity, but they're very necessary to avoid plagiarism and to make sure you give credit to the outside sources. So notice you have to have a works cited page. It also must include at least 3 outside sources. That's the minimum for this assignment. Really 3, it's not too difficult to find 3 outside sources, especially if you choose a topic that is pretty well known, not like an obscure person. But just to let you know, 3 is the minimum. If you go over just like the word count, that's fine. If you have 5 or 6, that's fine. But definitely 3 is the minimum. Notice there is a final draft late submission rule, so it is minus 10 points every day late. So that's to encourage you to turn in your research paper on time, for sure. All final drafts will be graded using the English 102 grading rubric. That grading rubric is at the bottom of the Getting Started page. You can click into it. I've got a PDF attached so that you can access it and see what I'm looking for your papers and what would qualify as an A paper. It's also going to be scanned using anti-plagiarism software, so please don't be tempted to buy any essays online or to use an essay that your friend has written or anything like that, because it will scan it and it's going to tell me a percentage of how much of that came offline. Some of you will use quite a few quotes or information, and when that stuff is scanned and it says it comes from an outside source, just make sure that you have an in-text citation at the end of each of those sentences, and then you're okay. You just have to give credit to the outside source. So I am expecting some of these to have a pretty high percentage of outside information. Just make sure you've given credit to the outside sources. And I've got at the bottom just some brainstorming outlining space. That's a spot where you can write out some of your ideas for those of you that like to print out the topic sheet, and maybe you're between a few different individuals you want to write about. You could write out some information about them and get an idea of which person would be the best for you to research. So if you have any questions whatsoever, I know that was a ton of information, please email me, you can call me. Essentially, I'm here to guide you through this research paper process. So you're not in this alone, I've got your back, and you're going to do just fine. And I'm looking forward to reading these research papers. I'm sure they're going to be fantastic. So thank you so much for watching to the end of the video, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Thanks!